Hi, this is Van.
What's up, Van?
How you doing?
Man, good to see
Can
you.
you see me okay?
Yep.
Okay.
Loud and clear.
Been getting any golf in or too cold?
No, it hasn't been too cold. They only opened the golf courses about 4 or 5 days ago.
Oh, okay. Because of COVID?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I've been working. I've been running appointments like they're going
Hey,
out of style.
you still running 30, 40 appointments a week?
No, it's not that many, maybe 20 to 25 because I still have some people that will wait until they let everybody out. But I have a lot of people that said, okay, just come and see us.
Yeah.
Went and saw. It's a mixed bag. I think that's how it is across the country. I think half of the people think we should stay quarantined, and half of the people think, are you crazy? I got to get back to work.
Amen.
Yeah.
Hey, I want to introduce you to my partner, Dan Asti. Him and I kind of run one of the biggest organizations in appreciation. So I wanted you two to meet for sure.
Hi, Dan.
Hello, nice to meet you, Van. Heard lots of great things.
Well, I hope I don't disappoint. I'm trying to put together a good hour and 15 minutes, and I believe in keeping things really, really simple. I think the simpler we make it, the better it is. And the more invisible in the sales presentation I am, the more sales I make. So I want all these agents to understand that it's not about them, it's about their customer and
Right.
so forth. And they have a really great opportunity. They were probably taking a lot of grief for a while there about what the stock market was doing, and they're probably going to get it again. Stock market's out of its mind. You do understand that. It's not a real stock market. It's more like Vegas now than it is a real stock market.
Totally.
And so once we get to the second quarter earnings, this sucker's going to go down big time.
Yeah.
Because this is all emotion that's causing the market to go up right now.
Yeah.
And a lot of people are going to get hurt because they're going to buy into the crap again. So
I say it like this: think like boat anchor. That is what's going to happen. You're going to drop anchor. I agree. The earnings reports don't match up. It's all separated from reality, and at some point, it's got to reconcile.
yes.
Which is how you get a crash. You know what I mean?
So it just makes it a perfect time to be an appreciation financial agent because if you're
agree.
talking to people about, hey, one of the sentences I'm going to say to these guys, one of the questions is, could you sell the products Appreciation Financial offers if they paid 0% interest? If they offered no gains? If all you got back was what you put in, could you still sell the product? And the answer is, it should be. You could sell it so ridiculously simple, it would be crazy. And that's what I want to make sure that they understand, that right now, interest rates, according to 30-year U.S. government bonds, are going to stay probably between 0 and 1% for a long time, unless something that they think they're in control of, they lose control of and they spike up. Or second, I believe the stock market is going to average nothing for 10 years. But then if you say to agents, if you sell a fixed indexed annuity or you sell cash value life insurance, what if you could access the cash value every time there was a crash, but you didn't lose any money? Or in a fixed indexed annuity, you could, with a reset, you could reset every year, and after it dropped and then went back up, you'd be able to make a little money in that sucker all the time. Wouldn't that be a better strategy than losing and getting back to even and losing and getting back to even? They need to trust that they don't need the best policy. They already have the best policy and the best idea. So anyway.
Man, I think that there's pressure in our side for Ed Appreciation Financial because a lot of our folks are connected to pension systems, which are grossly underfunded. And, when you look at some of these proposals and the way they're doing it, they're projecting out 7% returns, 8% returns. I worked with one in Colorado where they're projecting a 12% return. I'm like, 12% return after fees? That's impossible. It's not going to happen. And
they sound like Dave Ramsey, don't they?
Don't get me started. But we'll be here for an hour here. But the point is that if they aren't getting those returns and the amount of underfunded is already collapsing in a bull market, what in the world is going to happen when the stock market doesn't grow like they're expecting? So I agree. I think we're in the perfect position, and I'm very thankful you're here today. So thank you again personally.
Thank both of you. Thank you for trusting me. I'll do a good job. I'll work hard.
Well, let's kick it off, guys. It's 4:01. Don't need too much of an introduction here, but just want to give people some background. I met Van back in 2015, I believe it was, out in Arizona for I think it was our first, maybe it might have been my second Appreciation Financial Conference or convention we're at. Van spoke on stage, and, as he was speaking, when he got done, I was just like, man, if only I could do that. And it's kind of cool, just seeing him over the years speaking and listening to all of his CDs until, at one point when I was in the field full time, I think I was listening to his CDs every single day. I could, I start hearing his voice in my dreams. And then I guess I had to kind of let up a little bit on that. But anyway, guys, he's one of our top advisors in the U.S., in the industry. So he's got obviously a laundry list of awards, and we're lucky to have him here. I know at his busy streak, he's running 30 to 50 appointments a week. He's still running 20 to 30 right now. So we appreciate you, and welcome Van Mueller.
Thank you, guys. Everybody, will you do me a favor as we get started here first? Will you please, you see my name there, Van Mueller. If you go to vanmueller.com, right underneath my name at that website, you can get 40 bonus questions for free. Some of my best questions that I use to get appointments and to inspire people to take action. I don't believe we sell anything. I believe we inspire people to take action. Second, at my website, I have a newsletter, and that newsletter comes out every month, and we're providing a bonus because you're attending this call, this Zoom. If you buy May's newsletter, which is $14.95, we will send you for free November, December, January, and February. And those 4 newsletters, I would be willing to bet anybody that gets this that they will make a minimum of $100,000 of commissions, because it'll show you how to access money and how to prove easily with third-party sources that taxes will be higher in the future. So again, you get the 40 questions for free just because you tuned into here. That's right underneath barely underneath where it shows my picture. If you glide down just a little bit, he's trying to show it. 40 bonus, there it is. Click here to get Van's 40 bonus questions. It's free. Then right under that is my newsletter. And because you're subscribed, you're in the Zoom, we're going to send you as a bonus November, December, January, and February if you get May's newsletter. And May even has a bonus. The May mid-month bonus to the newsletter is perfect for Appreciation Financial agents, and I'll show you why in just a few minutes. And finally, if you go down a little further, I have CDs and MP3s. Now, please, I didn't come on this to sell you stuff. I came on this to let you know that you're only going to give me about 6 hours to do this sales presentation. I'm hoping you're laughing. You're going to give me an hour and 15 minutes at the most, and I'm going to try and inspire you to understand that this is the greatest time ever to be an Appreciation Financial agent. You have never, ever experienced a time like this. And if you ever had any doubts about it, after this hour and 15 minutes, I'm hoping that you'll recruit more people to the organization, because the American people are going to need you desperately, desperately, desperately. So the only way that I know how to share 48 years of knowledge, January 23rd, was my 48-year anniversary as an insurance agent. I started when I was 7. And the last 30 years, the first 16 years, I was a bum. And the last 30 years, I'm still a bum, but I make top of the table every. So 30 years in a row, I've made top of the table. And with the coronavirus going on. I made top of the table in early April this year, mid-April, before April 15th. And in case you don't know, that's 600,000 of first-year commissions, and I made that before April 15th. So I want you to understand there's a great opportunity for all of you, and I want you to also understand that, please, I need to spend like 5 minutes with you to understand a couple of things. First of all, I was a bum for 16 years. I was such a lousy insurance agent that I'm pretty sure I'm now the reason there's compliance in our industry. I was that bad. I worked for a company called Bankers Life and Casualty, and the only reason I survived for 16 years was they had leads. And I was such a lousy agent. I'll give you an example. One time I got a lead, we got postcards. We had a man named Paul Harvey who advertised for us, and everybody loved him. Somebody sent a postcard to Paul Harvey saying, "Dear Paul Harvey, God bless you, Paul Harvey. Will you please send an agent to our home to sell us insurance?" I blew that sale. I want you to please understand I was a very poor agent. I hated everybody. I hated all of you. I hated my managers. I hated my company. I hated my products. I hated what I did for a living. And I was a cancer in my agency. We would get a new agent. I would put my arm around them and say, you know, this is a really great company. They don't issue anything, but they're really good, you know? And the commissions are awesome. You're never going to see them. If you don't suck up to the managers, you'll never get any of the phone-ins, and on and on and on. You know agents like that. I was that agent. I destroyed so many agents' careers. If you know an agent like that, get as far away from them as fast as you can. They will destroy your life. This is the greatest time ever to be an insurance agent. There's never been a time like this, and I'll be able to prove it to you in the short time that we have. So I was lucky. I didn't have the courage to change. I was a coward. See, in our business, the opposite of courage is not actually cowardice. The opposite of courage is conformity. And so what ended up happening is, in the greatest time ever to be insurance agents, 93% of the agents in America make less than $75,000 a year. Can you even imagine? I don't believe it. I don't understand it, but that's what LIMRA says. And so here's the deal. I lucked out. I got fired. And when I got fired, because I had nowhere else to go, a person saved me. And the way that they saved me is they essentially said, from now on, every time you're in a home or a business, I want you to take care of those people, whether you make a commission or not. And I was a jerk. You have no idea, just a jerk. I said, well, if I do that, I'll starve to death. And to the credit of the person that saved my life and my career, he said, okay, well, then you're fired. And I said, no, you don't understand. He said, no, you don't understand. You either do what the hell I tell you or you're fired. So from that moment on, it became not about me any longer. After 16 years in the business, it became about the customer. It became about how could I inspire them to take action. Well, in my 17th year, I made the $1 Million Roundtable. My 18th year, I made Court of the Table, which is 3 times $1 Million Roundtable production. And now 30 years in a row, I've made Top of the Table. And I want you to be very clear. I write 600 to 1,200 apps a year, and I write most of those apps in 800 to 2,500 square foot houses, sitting at kitchen tables with the only people who really have any money in America, middle and upper middle class Americans who live within their means. And so I want you to understand, this isn't about having a great client list. It isn't about being really good looking. I mean, look, you can see, I got to sneak up on a glass of water to get a drink. I'm very shy. People don't believe me, and that's okay. I'm very self-conscious about my age, about my looks, about my weight, and I always have been. And the way that you overcome that negative self-talk that all of you have, you can lie to me, but you can't lie to yourselves. All the negative self-talk that you have, you can get rid of by making a decision here and now that from now on, the only people that you're going to concern yourself with are your prospects and your clients. The fastest way to build self-esteem is to do something for somebody else. Now, I know you maybe think that this is a waste of time spending this time talking to you about this information. It's not. Most of you are going to watch what I'm about to show you, and you're going to do what I did for 16 years, and you're going to say to yourselves, there's no way I can do that. And that's what I did for 16 years, and for 16 years, there was no way I could do it. What I want you to understand is that everything we're about to talk about, I learned how to do, and I didn't learn about it by studying. I learned about it by practicing it. Even to this day, I practice incessantly because I want to be conversational. I'm going to pretty much be able to talk to you for hours and hours. I could talk to you, and I don't need to notes or anything like that. I'm going to read you a couple of things, but I've been practicing and practicing and practicing. And what it's done is it's shortened my sales presentations. It's made them more successful, and it's all in questions. I do not tell anybody anything because I don't know anything, and neither do you. You don't know when the stock market's going to crash again. You don't know who the next president's going to be. You don't know what the interest rates are going to be. You don't know what the mortality experience of the companies you work for is going to. We don't know any of that. So instead of us going around telling people we know stuff, shouldn't we spend all of our time inquiring about them? Write this down. If you write anything today, the customer should be the star of the show, not us. It should be about asking them, what do you want? What would you like? What are you concerned about? What are you worried about? And I'm going to give you an organized way to do that, because I'm not talking about stupid questions. Here's what I mean by stupid questions. Agents try to build relationships by saying stuff like, so what's your favorite color? Do you like to garden? Kill me now. I don't do that. I don't have time for that. You build relationships by having important conversations with people about things that really matter. Not about stupidity, not about who's got the best garden or who bakes the best or what's your favorite TV show. I don't have time for that. You know who has time for that? My assistants. When they talk, they schmooze like crazy. I don't schmooze. I'm there to inspire people to take action. And I want to make sure you get that. It's about asking great questions. When you go and look at the 40 questions, and please, it won't apply now that I know that you're selling to some people outside of the teachers, but you know, the hottest question in America is going to be, what's the best age to take your Social Security? I mean, think about that. There's 74 million baby boomers born between 1946 and 64, and there's 66 million Generation Xers born between 1965 and 1980. And if you're really paying attention to what I just said to you, that means there's 140 million Americans turning 65 over the next 25 years. I'm sorry, I hope I don't offend anybody, but I just orgasmed. You understand? It's the opportunity of a lifetime with people who do not understand how Social Security works. And how do I know that? Because recent information in the newsletters that I share shows that 93% of Americans take Social Security to their detriment, not to their benefit. Now, boy, if you understand all of that information, then you'd want to know a question like that. Question number 3. If there was a way that you could be the beneficiary of your own life insurance policy while you were still alive, wouldn't you want to find out about something like that? And then I stop and I ask them before they even answer. I say, what do most people think you have to do in order to collect on life insurance? They say right away, you know what they say? They say die. And I say, I'll tell you what, I'll pay any amount of money you want right now if you can prove to me that we've ever paid any money to a dead person. You understand? It is a living benefit. It's one of the greatest living benefits that has ever existed, ever created in the mind of a human being. If we die too soon, it takes care of the people we love, the businesses we've worked to create, and the charities we have considerations for. But the most important benefit are the living benefits, which we will talk about in a few minutes, of cash value life insurance. It'll be the greatest benefit ever conceived of for the American people at a time when their financial and their retirement futures are being decimated. Cash value life insurance will be the greatest opportunity that they've ever had. So it's very, very important that you understand that. Some of the other questions, do you have somebody at the Internal Revenue Service that you just decided you're so madly in love with that you want to leave them a whole bunch of your money? Now think about that. One of the things in the bonus is, please, I'm known for doing this, but I've called every one of my customers, and please, it's thousands. I've been on the phone incessantly since this happened. And I call them on the phone and I just say, hey, this is Van. Now you have some existing customers, even people that you sold 3 or 4 months ago that you're sure in your heart and your soul you could have sold them some more. Here's a way that you can get a conversation with them, maybe get an appointment. And the way you do that is I said, hi, this is Van. I'm just calling to, first of all, make sure, are you okay? Is everything all right? Is everybody safe? Are there any questions that you have? Are you worried about anything? Is there something that I could answer for you? And then I say, I really would love for you to do me a favor. We're very worried about what's going to happen to the American people after this is done. And gosh, you'd help me to help a ton of people. If I could get your opinion about a few questions, would it be okay? What do you think they're going to say? 99% of the time they say yes. Very few times they say no. And the first thing you say to them is you say, now listen, you have some fun with this. Remember, these are conversations, not pitches. You say to them, will you do me a favor? I know how smart you are. You wouldn't have the money you have if you weren't smart. And second, I hope you'll laugh when I say this to you, but I know how smart you are because you have me for your agent. They laugh, they chuckle a little bit. You're building a relationship. People give money to people they have relationships with. And you want to be a little self-deprecating. You want to have a little fun. And so then you say, now, would you do me a favor? I know how smart you are. And then you say, will you do me a favor? You got to do it exactly this way because you don't want to offend anybody. Will you just pretend for a couple of minutes that you don't know anything? Nothing. Pretend that you have no knowledge about anything. You don't know anything about investing. You don't know anything about insurance. And you don't know anything about taxes. You use taxes last. You don't know anything about taxes. Okay? Will you try that for me? Have some fun with it. Then you look at them and you say, now, really, I want your gut reaction. I want to know your reaction from your soul. Okay. See, and now it's not like it's like you're having some fun with them. And then you look at them and you say, here's my question. Based on everything that's happened in our country in the last 3-4 months, do you think the government's going to need more revenue in the future? Just yes or no. They go nuts. They laugh. Are you kidding? Some of them swear at you. And they say names and all kinds of, they have an emotional reaction, which is exactly what I want. Then I say, please, I only need a few more questions, and then I'll really be able to know how I can help people. Based on what you just said to me, would it be more beneficial? Do not use the word smarter. We have to be careful about the words that we choose. Here's why. I do not want to ever offend. I do not want to ever attack their intelligence. What I'm careful about is the words. So watch what I'm going to ask. Would it be beneficial for you and your family if you took a tax deduction now on a small amount of money and built it into a big pile of money down the road when the government's going to really need a big pile of money? Or would it be more beneficial for you and your family to pay the taxes now on a small amount of money and transfer a large amount of money to the future that would never be able to be taxed by the government ever again? Based on what you told me, which do you think would be the better strategy for you or your family? First one or the second one? And they always say, I'm telling you, they always say, well, gosh, I think the second one would be the best. So that only leaves me one more question. And if you tell me to get lost, if you tell me to never bother you again, I won't, but I really want you to think about it. Promise? And go, yeah. Why is it then that you're using the first one as your strategy? Why are you building this gigantic pile of money for the government when you know they're going to need a gigantic pile of money in the future? And by the way, based upon what you're seeing right now, does the government have your back? Who got their money first, the big guys or the little guys? Who got their money first, the millionaires or the middle class? Who's still waiting for some of their money? There's a lot of people in America are still waiting for their lousy $1,200 check. Still, to this day. And this is a long time ago that this was created. So who's got your back? If you had a choice, do you want to be in control of what happens, or do you want the government to be in control of what happens for the rest of your life? And then if you even go a little further, if you really get a nice conversation going, you say, I got another question for you. Do you think something like this could ever happen again in our country? Are you kidding me? This is going to happen again in the fall. I mean, I'm telling you, this is going to be wild. This is going to happen a lot. Financial crises, medical crises, and the one that nobody's talking about because they're afraid to go near it is climate crises. Where are we going to get the money for all this stuff, you guys? It's coming. You think you pay taxes now, you don't even know how to spell taxes. So Mr. and Mrs. Customer, wouldn't it be smart? See, you just caught me making a mistake. Wouldn't it be beneficial to build a big pile of money for you and your family that the government can never tax again? Do you guys see where I'm trying to go with this? I want you to understand that there is a spectacular opportunity for you just by raising questions with your prospects and clients about how you can be of service to them. How can you benefit them? And you know the thing that's going to drive you crazy? We think our customers know all of this stuff. They don't know any of this. Do you know how I know? Because 95% of the agents in America don't know any of this. So if the people who do this for a living don't know any of this, it's pretty obvious that the American people don't know anything about any of this. They don't understand. You know, I even wrote about it in the newsletter. They don't understand why they've lost their job. They don't understand why 50 to 70% of those jobs are probably never going to come back. What if I told all of you I thought that 50% of the restaurants in America will never reopen, that 50% of the bars in America will never reopen, that 50 to 70% of the movie theaters in America will never reopen? It's not financially beneficial for them, and they're not going to be able to do it with all the requirements and so forth. It's going to be a very, very different world. And that doesn't mean that it's going to be a bad world. It means a world that those who adapt the fastest will be the most powerful. That's you guys. You're not going to go there and tell people what to do. You're going to ask them, what would you like to do? How would you like to be in control of what happens rather than be hurt by it? Now, again, I've already spent a good 20, 25 minutes of it with just this part, and I really wanted to get to an important part that I want to spend some time with you so that in case any of you have any questions, you'll be able to ask me. But I want you to understand how I sell so many life insurance policies and so many annuities. The last 3 or 4 years have been my greatest years in the business, and I'm just knocking on doors and sitting at kitchen tables with people I affectionately call Ma and Pa Lunchbox. And by the way, the reason they have money is because they live within their means and they've been savers. Now think about that for a minute. Who has the government decided to punish? Middle America, who are great savers. What kind of interest rate did they give them? Zero, nothing. I'm not going to let you earn any money on your stuff. But the stock market, where all the millionaires and billionaires, and by the way, did you know only now 19% of America is in the stock market? 19%. Those people, they're giving them free money. They're printing money like it's going out of style. They're taking good care of them. And so what I want you to understand is we're talking about, I know you're not going to believe this, but there are very few people in our country who make more than $100,000 a year. In fact, the number is 10%. The other 90% make less than $100,000 a year. So I'm not telling you that you shouldn't call on the 10%. I do. But I think you can make a spectacular living if you go to that 90% and you say, can I ask you a couple of questions? What if there was a way, and here's how I sell cash value life insurance, and I want to go slow. I'm going to be redundant here for a minute because I want to make sure you really get what I'm talking about. And by the way, all of you, this is in the newsletters. This is in November and December and January and February. And it's in the main newsletter, how to ask these questions, how to inspire people to understand what it is that you do. So I don't tell people what we do. I ask people what they would like for a benefit. And they go, what are you talking about? And I say, well, what would you like for a benefit? And they say, well, would it be okay if I ask you a few questions? And then they go, yes, because they don't know what to say. They don't understand any of what's happening in our country or our world right now. They don't understand that this virus could come back. They don't understand that there are pros and cons to everything that's going on in our world, and that everybody is completely right and everybody's completely wrong. Does automobile accidents kill more people than COVID-19? Yeah. And on and on. Those are the arguments being made on both sides. So what I'm hoping that you understand is that there's really nobody who knows what to do here. And so you can be of spectacular validity if you can get in front of people and say, how would you like to get back in control of what all these people don't have control of? And so let's start. This is how I do it. I go up to somebody and I say, now let me ask you something. I'm really curious. If there was a way that you would never have to lose any money ever again, would that be an important benefit? What do you guys think they say? Especially after 2000 to 2002, 2007 and 8, and now what's happening now. And by the way, remember, I'm going to tell you this. I'm going to make an opinion. I believe that the Dow Jones Industrial Average, when the crash, second part of the crash happens, is going to fall back to between 6,000 and 10,000 Dow. It is currently at 25,000. Do you understand? And by the way, let's talk about that for a quick second. The Dow at its peak was at 30,000. It dropped to 18,000, and then the government did fiscal stimulus. Fiscal stimulus is the $3 trillion of benefit provided by the Congress. And they did monetary stimulus, which is the 10 trillion of stimulus provided by the Federal Reserve. So these guys have printed effectively $13 trillion, and they're going to print more. They've said so. And the Dow Jones Industrial Average could not even get back to even. It is still 3,000 below, 5,000, below its height, which was 30,000. So with all of that stimulus, it's not even back. So when the market goes down again, because people think, oh, we're out of this and everything's going to be okay, aren't a lot of people going to be hurt again? And so all you ask them is you say, what if there was a way that you could guarantee that you'd never lose any money ever again? My question to you is, do we sell products like that? Yes, we do. We sell cash value life insurance. We sell fixed indexed annuities. We sell universal life. We sell all of these wonderful products where we can pretty much show people that there's a way that they don't have to suffer every time one of these mistakes is made. And think about that. These are 3 huge mistakes in one generation. 20 years is a generation. 3 ginormous mistakes in one generation. And I'm asking you, do you think there'll be more? When we get to the end of the talk, I'm going to show you a place that you can go to that you can verify, or again, you can get my newsletter and use November, December, January, and February to create a methodology to show people third-party ways that they definitely are going to lose more money in the future, they are going to pay more taxes in the future, and they are going to have to deal with dramatic inflation in the future and loss of benefits and so forth. So you can prevent all of that. You, little old you, sitting there by yourself, you can prevent all of that. And all you got to do is ask the questions. Question number one, what if there was a way that you never had to lose any money ever again? Would that be an important benefit? Question number two, what if every time this happens for the rest of your life, because you didn't lose any money and because you have access to this money, you could actually take advantage of what happens rather than be hurt by it? Would that be a spectacular benefit? And I actually say to my customers, and this is what I'm embarrassed about, I don't think I've done a good enough job of explaining that to my customers, that they can actually, instead of worrying about this all the time, they can actually put themselves in a position to take advantage of what's happening. Third, what if you could do all of this that we just described with a reduced or total elimination of your income tax liability? Based on what you told me when we first started our conversation, can I ask you something? Do you think the government's going to need more revenue in the future? And the answer, you know the answer. It's obvious. Of course they are. So they're going to raise taxes of all kinds. You don't even know how all the kinds of taxes, property taxes, sales taxes, income taxes, license fees. Think of those are all taxes. They're coming. They're coming for your customers. And if you can keep and develop money that nobody can get their hands on ever again, wouldn't that be spectacular? So first question is, what if you could never lose any money ever again? Second question, what if every time, because you didn't lose any money and because you kept access to that money, you could actually take advantage of every screw up that Wall Street anybody makes in the future? Wouldn't that be a spectacular benefit? Third, what if you could do all of that with reduced or total elimination of your income tax liability? Wouldn't this be amazing? But then I stop and I say, now, because of what's happened, the government has really destroyed quite a bit of the discretionary money that we used to have. And so we have to find a way to do a more effective and efficient job with money that you already have in IRAs and 401ks, 403bs, and 457 plans. So here's my fourth question. What if you could take those same dollars that you're using to build financial and retirement success? What if you could use those same dollars for protection? Can you believe it? I'll give you an example. Let's say that you build up a pile of cash value in your policy or in your annuity, and you have a critical illness like a heart attack, stroke, or cancer, and because you have access to this money, you could access this money, let's say out of the cash value of your life insurance, so you could transition your life without destroying the rest of your life. Wouldn't that be an amazing benefit? I have another surprise for you. Because of the kind of program this is, let's say you used most of your values while you were alive. What if the day you died, this strategy would replenish all the money you used while you were alive, so that even though you used the money to make sure your life was okay, you'd still be able to make sure that the people you loved and care about would be okay, even after you were gone and even after you used most of the money. Wouldn't that be an amazing benefit? I'm still not done. I have the biggest surprise of all. What if you never need critical illness coverage? What if I told you wouldn't be wasting 1 cent of money on the coverage? Not 1 cent. I have a bigger surprise for you now. And this is going to be a real important discussion to have with everybody. What if you end up in a nursing home later in your life? And let me ask you something. Based on what you've heard in the news over the last 3, 4, or 5 months, if there's somebody that you love, would you ever want to put them in a nursing home? And really, if you think about it, I really don't think there's many people that are excited about being in a nursing home any longer. So here's what I want to ask all of you. If you weren't in a nursing home and you could care for yourself at home using all the values in the strategy that we built up, wouldn't that be amazing? And wouldn't you like it better if you could be cared for in your home? And then here's the second surprise. I want you to remember this. What if you use 90% of all the values in this strategy, and then the day you died, we would replenish all of that money for your family or your business or your charity free of income tax? Wouldn't that be amazing? Could you think of a more effective and efficient way to use your money? If you could use it to save for financial security and retirement success, but you could also use it for protection, and it would be replenished after you were done using it so that you wouldn't have wasted any of it just on yourself. And then finally, here's the biggest surprise of all. This is one of the reasons that people don't buy long-term care insurance. What if you never needed long-term care insurance or needed to be cared for in your home? Wouldn't it be amazing? Wouldn't it be? Think about this for a minute. If you didn't waste 1 cent of money covering all of that. Now think about all that, what I just said for a minute. Now I have one more question. This is very, very important. And if you tell me to get lost, I'll get lost. I don't know, I say that. Most of the time people are really engaged. And so I don't have to say that, but what I'm trying to get you to understand is it's not about me. If you hear all the questions, not once am I talking about me. Not once am I bringing up any of my skills, or the questions are able to share with my customers what my skills are. And so here's what I look at them and say. See if you'll have some fun with me with this. I say, now, will you do me a favor? Think about this for a minute. Do you know anything else in the world that can do what I just described? You have to understand, guys, I've taught this to hundreds and hundreds of agents, and they go crazy. They just can't believe it. They say when they get done, it's astonishing. And if you really understand what I just did with all of you, I just explained to you the cash value life insurance policy. And that's what I call it. Whether you sell whole life, index universal life, I don't care. As long as it's cash value life insurance. And I then say, let's say they say, okay, I want to do this. I don't ask for a premium. I say, well, okay, based on everything that you understand about this now, can you do me a favor? Can you tell me how much value would you like to build for you and your family? See, I don't give them a premium. I don't call it a cost. How much value would you like to build for you and your family? I just did one about 3 weeks ago where I thought I was selling the guy. That's what I thought I was presenting, was a $2,000 a year life insurance policy. And I did exactly what I just did with you, almost exactly word for word. And then said to him, okay, since you want to go ahead with this, how much value would you like to build for you and your family? And he looks at me and he said, I could easily put 10, 15,000 bucks a year into something like that. And I said, wow, really? Without any problems? And he said, yeah, with no problems. I said, why don't we start at 10,000? And if you like how this develops, then we can add to it. Would that be okay? He said, yeah, but I could really do the bigger one right now. I mean, he's actually pressing me to do the bigger one. Then I said, okay, can I give you an example of how this will work? And he goes, sure. I say, if you give me $10,000 a year for 10 years in a row, at the end of 10 years, you're going to have $100,000 of cash value. And he says, just like every one of your customers is going to say, man, sounds like I didn't make anything. And I go, boy, you'd really think that. See, you never get offended. Write this down. Professionals never get offended. He has a right to ask those questions. He has a right to understand what it is that you're trying to explain to him. So what I say to him is, I said, boy, you'd really think that, but may I ask you a few more questions? He goes, yeah, because he's getting used to answering questions now. I say, let me ask you something. Didn't you just turn $100,000 of forever tax money into $100,000 of never, ever again tax money? Boy, what do you think the value of that is? And didn't you just take $100,000 that pretty much guarantees that you will never lose any money ever again as long as you live? But every time something bad happens, couldn't we temporarily access the values in that policy to take advantage of the opportunity and take advantage of the volatility that these markets are going to present, not timing the market, but every time there's a big move or a big change up or down, wouldn't it be spectacular if you could access this money and take advantage of it? They go, wow, that's amazing. And didn't you just take and turn this money into something where at the same time that you're using it to build your retirement success and your financial success, wouldn't it be amazing if, because it has a $2 or a $250 or $300,000 death benefit, that you could use most of this money that's in this account while you're alive to pay for a transition if you had a heart attack, stroke, or cancer, to pay for caring for you at home if you needed to be cared for at home. But the day you died, the benefit would be replenished. And then I have another question for you. Based on what you're seeing right now in the world, if the interest rates are zero, what would your 100,000 be worth at the end of 10 years if the interest rate stays zero in another investment? And if the stock market does exactly what it did from 2000 to 2010, by the way, if you don't remember, the Dow was 10,000 in 2000, and the Dow was 10,000 in 2010, and I'm going to make you a prediction. I still believe the Dow will be 10,000 in 2020. That's an entire generation making nothing in the stock market. But has there been a lot of volatility? And because you had access to this money and you had access to it free of income taxes, wouldn't that allow you plenty of opportunities to take advantage of all of this volatility to the benefit of you, your family, and your business? I said, so let me ask you something. What do you think the value of all of that is? I actually have people that apologize. I'm sorry, I didn't understand. I'm not trying to challenge you. I just didn't realize. And they apologize. They don't want to offend you. They don't want to hurt your feelings. See, what you have to understand is that customers don't know any of what I just described to you. None of it. They don't know that they don't have to lose money. They don't know that they can put themselves in a position to take advantage of things. They don't know that they can reduce or eliminate their income taxes. They don't know, with a smaller and smaller amount of discretionary money, that they can use the same money that they're using for saving for retirement and saving for their financial future for protection purposes as well. And then you go further. You layer it on even thicker. You say, you know, if that's all there was, boy, you should do this right now. But that's not all there is. And here's my surprise for you. Do you know that if you have a named beneficiary on this program, it doesn't have to go through probate? So all you have to do is prove to me that you're dead, have your beneficiary sign a couple of forms, and we'll make sure they get all the money within weeks. Might even be days if I can get to them fast enough. And nobody will know how much money you had. It's not public record. It's private. You don't have to fight with anybody. You don't have to hire a lawyer. You don't have to do anything. Second, do you realize that this money with a named beneficiary is incontestable and private? What do I mean by that? Are there families alive today where they have some children that don't particularly show their happiness with being in the family? And so maybe they've never called mom or dad for 20 years. And mom or dad have two other kids that have been there and looked after them when they got older and helped them grocery shop and did all. So mom and dad still want to leave that one child 20%, but they want to leave 40% to the other two kids. The first thing is the child that only gets 20% would not be able to contest it. Second, they wouldn't even know about it because it's private. Unless the other two kids told them that they got more, there's no way that they would ever find out. It's a spectacular benefit that we don't talk about. Another thing is that, and you want to talk, again, the people that have money are the grandmas and grandpas of this country. And you say to them, what if you could control this money from your grave? See, most grandmas and grandpas do not think their children or their grandchildren have respect for money. And so they're always concerned, they're always worried that if we give you any money now, you're going to go and buy a TV set for the bathroom. Or if we give you any money now, you're going to buy a new car that you don't really need, blah, blah, blah. You're going to waste this money. And so what we're able to show grandma and grandpa is, what if we told you that at your death, instead of giving this money to the children in a lump sum, you could have it paid to them as an income over a 5 or 10 or 15 or 20-year period of time, and nobody could mess with that. Nobody could change that. That's called a direction for settlement. I do that all the time with certain people. What if you could do that? What if you could control the money from your grave? Then another benefit. What if somebody tries to sue you? Do you know that this money is protected from creditors and predators? I have a really close friend of mine who just lost his business. I can't tell you what it is that would identify who he is, but he just lost his business. And the only money that he's been allowed to save are the monies that we earmarked as money for retirement and cash value life insurance that is protected from creditors and predators. And so you may not think that's a big deal, but with everybody trying to figure out a way to survive what's happening in our country, I think you're going to see a lot of people crawling out of the woodwork trying to figure out ways how to get in your customers' pockets. And wouldn't they want to have a lot of money in a program that nobody could get their hands on? You're not going to believe this, but I sell quite a lot of people in the medical profession, nurses, doctors, so forth, where I say to them, listen, I don't care if life insurance is the lousiest investment on the planet. In a society where everybody's trying to get their hands on your money by suing you, by coming after you, wouldn't it be important to have some of your money in a place that nobody could ever get their hands on? And then last but not least, the money that I have in annuities and cash value life insurance is protected under what's called the spousal impoverishment rules. Now, I don't have time to explain that here. You should try to do some Googling and find out how that works. But essentially what it says is that a married couple, one spouse cannot make the other spouse impoverished because they need help in a nursing home. So there are special things that allow you to keep a certain amount of money, keep a residence, keep a car, so forth and so on. But here's the surprise. If there's a lot of money in the name of the person in the nursing home, we can switch that value in a monthly income that is less than the life expectancy of the person that is considered to be the community spouse, the one that is still out in the community. If we set them up with an annuity that is payable for a period certain that is less than their life expectancy, it is not considered a transfer. And so the one spouse needing help doesn't have to spend down all the excess money. They can actually turn it into an income, if you understand the rules, and have that income paid to the community spouse. And so what's beneficial about that is then there's all kinds of planning opportunities that arise because of that. So if you understand what I've been doing with all of you so far, I'm layering benefit on top of benefit on top of benefit on top of benefit. And I ask everybody, would you just like a CD that doesn't have any of these benefits, or would you like all of these benefits? And by the way, will your cash value life insurance policy do as good as any CD in America right now? So should that money be $100,000 in a CD in an IRA, let's say? And if you go into the nursing home and you spend 90,000 of it and then you die, there's only 10,000 left for your family. But if you took that same 100,000 and we showed you a way to transfer with reduced or total elimination of your income tax liability, and again, everybody, that's in the November, December, January, and February newsletter. If we showed you how to do that, so that now if you spent 90 of the 100,000 of cash value, and then the day you died, instead of your family getting 10,000, we would reimburse to them the whole 100,000 or more income tax free Wouldn't that be a more effective and efficient use of that money than what you're doing right now? It's the same with the stock market. What if, think about this, everybody, what if the day before they die, the stock market starts to do this? And nobody's there to take over for them, and they start losing all kinds of money and all the values. And please, if you saw, it didn't take long. It took less than 30 days to go from 30,000 down to 18,000 down. And when this turns again, it's not going to take long. It's going to go down very, very quickly once the markets come to the realization of what's really happening in our economy. So, do you understand that you sell the most effective and efficient money that is available to the American people? And that is money inside of a cash value life insurance policy. Now, quickly, because I only have about 15 more minutes or so, I want to quickly, because some of you are going to say to me right away, well, what if they don't qualify for life insurance? Okay, I get that. So then sell them a fixed indexed annuity or a multi-year guarantee annuity that guarantees the interest rate for 3 or 5 or 7 years or whatever. You can still get better rates than you can get in a CD. You can still do these same things that we just described by having access to the money without losing any money every time something bad happens. You can help them take advantage of opportunities as they present themselves. And again, please forgive me. I know I'm going very fast, but I'm trying to make sure that I build in a fundamental amount of information that I'm hoping you're going to say, oh my God, this is amazing. If I knew just a little more, can you imagine all the people that I could get in front of? Can you imagine all the people that I could help? Could you imagine all the people that I could take care of? So I want to give you a couple of more examples. You guys, you're talking to all kinds of teachers that they're going to get slaughtered if they keep deferring taxes to the future and the government comes along and starts taking their money. Oh my God, that may be the only money that they ever have. What if there was a way to get them to say, hey, you've built up a pretty good pile of taxable money. Now, instead of contributing to your 401k or your 403b, what if we showed you a way that you could take that same amount of money and start transferring it into an index universal life policy or a whole life policy, and you could build up a pile of tax-free money? Then we have another surprise for you. When you get to retirement age, we will then use a strategy that will allow us to start transferring money out of your taxable 401k or 403b into this program, and you'll be able to do it for reduced or total elimination of income tax liability. And please make sure they understand you'll be able to do this while having really lots and lots of access to the money so you can take advantage of investment opportunities, but you will be reducing or eliminating the income tax liability on this money, not only for you, but the people that come behind you. And please, because you're teachers, this is the way I would ask them, because you're teachers, your children and your grandchildren, aren't they the ones that are going to be clobbered by all of this? Isn't so if there's a way that you can take care of you while you're alive, you can do the best for you that you can, but instead of giving that money to the government or the Internal Revenue Service, when you're all done, that it's there available for your family, free of income tax liability. Oh my God, wouldn't that be the most spectacular use of that money that you could ever imagine? And did you realize all it takes is a little bit of strategy? All you have to do is a little bit of planning, and you'll be able to do this on behalf of you and your family forever. Now, a couple of things I want to touch on before I go. First, this is very, very important. The government is going to be coming after you in 3 ways. The first step is going to be through Wall Street. And I say to the customer, I look at him and I say, will you do me a favor? Think about this for a minute. Every time Wall Street has a crash, don't you lose 30, 50, 70% of your money? And how many times are you going to let that happen before you say, that's it, I'm never going to let that happen again? Don't you think you should ask yourself that question? And then second, after Wall Street is done with you, they hand you off to the Internal Revenue Service. And the Internal Revenue Service then comes and takes 20, 30, 40% of that, what's left over. And you think, okay, well, I ended up with a little bit. I still survived all of this. And no, you didn't, because the biggest surprise of all is waiting for you. And that's the government, who takes a gigantic vat of salt and pours it in your open wound and says, because we did all these screw ups, we're going to have to print an enormous amount of money. So the little teeny tiny bit of money you have left, we're going to reduce the purchasing power of that money down to almost nothing. So a little money you have left, you're not going to be able to buy anything with. Now, do you guys understand what I just described? And do you understand that you sell? I'm going to start yelling at you. You guys sell the only product available to the American people that prevents all three of those things from happening. The fastest and best way to beat inflation is to never lose any money. Warren Buffett says it all the time. All the time. And second, if you didn't have to lose any money, wouldn't that mean that you have a bigger and bigger pile of money available every time these guys screw up to temporarily take advantage of that opportunity? And finally, if you never had to pay taxes once you've made this money ever again, wouldn't that be spectacular? And so, Mr. and Mrs. Customer, how many times are you going to let these people come and land on you before you say, that's it, now I'm going to be in control of how much Wall Street takes, of how much the Internal Revenue Service takes, and how much the government takes? See, if you're really paying attention, they try to simplify this into a simple, easy way for them to understand that they can take advantage of all of these opportunities, and they don't have to be complex. They don't have to have the best interest rate. They don't have to have the lowest premium. They don't have to have the highest cash value. If you've heard me give presentations, I tell them, if you give me $10,000 a year for 10 years, if you give me $100,000 a year for 10 years, at the end of 10 years, you can have $1 million of cash value. I don't mess with them. But every time a crash happens, can't they go and access that money, temporarily put it in the market? I made up a rule. I call it the Van Mueller rule of 1215. It's a simple rule. Let's say you have 100,000 in cash value. Stock market crashes. I temporarily go and borrow, let's say 60,000 out of it. I go and buy a growth mutual fund. Market goes up 30%. Okay? So now on that 60,000, I made 18,000 bucks. I then tell them they have to stay invested for 12 months in a day. Why? Because under the law, if you stay invested for 12 months in a day, it's treated as a long-term capital gain. And you don't pay any tax if you're in the 12, the 10, or the 0% tax bracket. And an easier way to remember is, as a married couple over 65, if you make less than $106,000 a year, or you make less than $103,000 a year as a couple under 65, you're in the 12% bracket. That means you pay 0% tax on that 18,000 of gains you made. So then the second part of the rule 1215 is you must pay the loan back within 15 months, because we don't want any harm coming to this. And so what we'll do is we'll take out of the $78,000 that you have now, we'll take the 60,000 that we started with, and we'll pay the loan back. And now you have 18,000. Now you guys are not going to believe this. I know you're not. But the next question I ask them is, what should we do with that 18,000? And what do you think they say 90% of the time? Shouldn't we get another one of these policies? And then I walk over, and before COVID-19, I would hug them and say, see, you do understand. And so next time we want to have 100,000, we'll have 118,000. When the market crashes again, we'll use that and we'll make more money. And when it crashes again, we'll use that and make more money. And so I have policyholders that have 5, 6, 7 policies, because every time this happens, we take advantage of it. So what I'm also hoping that you're hearing is that I have a continuous supply of money once the customers understand exactly how they can stay in control. One final sales idea I want to quick talk to you about because it's perfect for you guys. There's lots of people out there. I just did a sale within the last 2 weeks where I went to see a customer who had $200,000 in CDs in the bank, non-IRA. And the 200,000 was earning 0.25% of interest, so they were making $500 a year on 200,000 bucks. Can you believe that? And I said to them, do you know how to take advantage of mortality credits? And they said, one guy said, what the hell are you talking about? And I said, would it be okay if I ask you some questions? They said, sure. I said, what if you could give me 100 of your 200,000 and I could go to any insurance company in America, and at 65 years old, they would give you between 6,000 to 7,000 a year, depending on your sex and your health. They would pay you 6,000 to 7,000 a year guaranteed for as long as you live. So if at 65 you live for 30 more years, I'll use the lower number, we would pay you $6,000 a year, every year guaranteed for the next 30 years. And I have another surprise for you. The taxable amount would be less than the 500. So out of the 6,000 that you'd get, maybe only 200 or 300 of it would be taxable every year. Then we have to do another thing. We have to take the other 100,000. And agents, I do it a couple of ways. I'm going to try and tell you both ways. I sell a lot of MEX, a lot of single premium life insurance, tons, 300,000 a week when I'm working regular, a lot. And so here's what I said. What I want you to do is I want you to take the other 100,000 and we're going to buy a 200,000 face amount single premium life insurance policy. So if you got one payment and then you died, your family still has their 200,000 bucks. But if you live for 30 years, you're going to get 6,000 a year times 30 is $180,000 back for the original 100,000 you gave me in a zero interest rate environment. And that other 100,000 that you gave me to buy a 200,000 face amount policy, do you have any idea how well that'll grow over the next 30 years? And that money will be available to take advantage of investment opportunities, cover you if you have a critical illness, all these kinds of things that I was describing. Now, some agents don't like to sell single premium life or MEX. So here's how you would do it the other way. You would still buy a 200,000 face amount policy, but what you would do next is you would pay 10,000 for the first year of premium, and then you would buy a 9-year period certain $10,000 a year annuity that would send you $10,000 a year for 9 years. And now you would have fully funded in over a 10-year span of time a 200,000 face amount life insurance policy. So there's a bunch of different ways that you can do this, as long as you understand that. Do you understand I was able to show this customer in a zero interest rate environment how they could go from $500 a year of income to $6,000 a year of income without putting any damper on their 200,000 face amount that would be available if something happened. But that also, if they lived a long time, they would continue to receive that benefit, and we would be able to use the other half, the cash value life insurance policy, to actually build their asset base over the course of their lifetime, giving them wonderful opportunities without ever putting them at risk again. I also sell little policies, you guys. Customer just went and saw living in an 800 square foot house, had $30,000 in savings account. That's it. Lived on $30,000 a year of Social Security and saved money out of it. They lived in an 800 square foot house in West Allis, Wisconsin. Their property taxes were $900 a year. Their health insurance is paid by their company until they're both dead. So they really were actually able to save money out of the $30,000 Social Security. So I call on people like that. And I said to them, can I ask you something? What's the $30,000 for? Well, we want to leave it for our kids. And I said, man, based on everything you see happening, wouldn't your kids be able to really use it now? And they looked back at me and watched, see if you've heard this before. They said, well, just in case, we don't want to be dependent on anybody. We want to make sure that money's available for us. And I said, so I have a question for you. What if I could show you a way that I could take that 30,000 and I could make it look like 60,000? And then you'd still have use of the 30,000 while you were alive. So let's use an example. I say, let's say you use $25,000 of the money that's in this account before you die. The day you die, we would replenish the 25,000, so your kids would still inherit the 30,000. Wouldn't that be amazing? But here's the best part: if you never need the money, wouldn't we be able to make 30,000 look like 60,000? And wouldn't that be more beneficial for your family? And isn't that the way families get ahead in this world? They work together as families. And so you're going to laugh. I sell 3 or 4 of those a day. Now, if you really understand what I just said there, that's a 30,000 single premium life insurance policy. You could do it the other way, as I said. You could pick up 3,000 right now and then do 9 years of $3,000 a year and fully fund a $60,000 policy over 10 years of time and have it be income tax free. I just don't like to, I'm lazy. I don't like to do all that messing around. And so all I want to make sure that you understand, that I wanted to give you some examples of, is that there are dozens and dozens. Honest, I'm sitting here, and while I'm doing this, I'm seeing that the clock is ticking away, that I only have a couple of more minutes with all of you, and I can think of 50 more great sales ideas that I could share with you, that it's your time. And so more than anything, what I'm hoping is that you understand, based on what we've tried to share with you today, that you have the opportunity of a lifetime to matter, make a difference, and make a lot of money doing it. And there's not enough of you, so you need to go and tell other people that you know are struggling to find careers right now, that they could come and they could learn these skills. All they have to do is learn 20, 30, 40 questions, practice them, and they could start opening up cases and getting in front of people and inspiring people to take action. You can really make a spectacular difference if you'll just take the time to learn these questions, learn some of these sales ideas, and then here's the key: do not study them. 93% of the people in our business study and they fail. Practice them, and think about it in the same way as professional athletes. The best athletes are the ones that don't have to think about what they're going to do next. They react instinctively. That's what you are. You're a professional athlete. If you can practice and learn these skills and learn these questions, you can build for yourself a spectacular career. And please, the people that you have running this organization, they really want to help you. And that's why they took the time to make sure that they'd allow me to have a little time with you to share some ideas. But what I'm also hoping is that you'll make a small investment in yourselves of both time and maybe a teeny bit of money, that you'll go and get those 40 questions, and you'll read them. Question number 30, I want to leave you with before I close. What if I told you I've asked question number 30 25,000 times, and I have never had anybody say no? And I actually have agents who try to challenge me on it. I actually had a guy who did the question, and the customer answered exactly the way I said he would, and he started to laugh, and the customer got upset because he thought the agent was making fun. The agent was so stunned he couldn't believe that it worked. It works almost every single time, depending on how well you ask the question. I walk up to every grandma and grandpa in America, in the mall, in a restaurant, my customers, and I say, if I could show you a way to stay in complete control of your money till you took your last breath, but instead of giving that money to the government, a nursing home, or a hospital, you could keep that money in your family for generations to come, at the very least. wouldn't it be worth 45 minutes of your time? Please, when you lay it out like that, unless they're a dirtball, they're going to say yes, because they want to know the answer to that question. And so again, what I'm hoping that you'll do, what I'm hoping that you've been inspired by, is that you will go and get those 40 questions. They are free. And second, that you'll give consideration to investing in the newsletter, and not just investing the money, but you'll invest the time to read and practice the ideas that are shared in that newsletter. And finally, that you will go and find some other people that you should bring into the business that you will share this with, because the best people to practice on are those people you bring into the business. And if you practice with each other, you can build quite an opportunity to help a lot of people and at the same time make a difference and make a lot of money. I hope you found this beneficial. I really went actually much faster than I thought I was going to have to, but there's so much ground to cover. I appreciate all of your time that you took, and I'm grateful to all of you. And I hope that you'll encourage your leadership that when they finally open up everything up again, that I can come and spend some time with all of you in person and share some of these ideas. So please, everybody, stay well, take care of your families. This is the greatest time ever to be an insurance and financial advisor, and it is the greatest time ever to sell cash value life insurance. For the first time ever, if you sell cash value life insurance, you're the competition. Nobody can touch you. Nobody. If you understand the questions that we just talked about. Stay well. Thank you, everybody.
Thanks, Van. Appreciate you.
Thank you, man. That was awesome.
Is that okay?
That was great, man. I mean,
Great.
oh, if you want to open it up for questions, it's up to you, brother. Otherwise,
I'm willing to sit here for a little bit more if people have a couple of questions.
awesome. All right, guys. I'm glad you hit that last sales strategy with the mech, because that's one of my favorites. That was gonna be my question to go over, but you already nailed it. So I guess we'll leave it to anyone that has questions, guys. Please post them in the Q&A. If you can't, I don't know if you can unmute yourselves or not. Chris Longsworth wants to know, what's your average annual premium?
Well, I don't have an average annual premium. I write anywhere as little as 200 a month to 10,000 a month.
Yeah.
I don't have an average. I just again see, I'm sorry, don't be mad at me, whoever asked that question, but see, I don't ever ask for premium. I say, how much value would you like to build for you and your family? And so I'm never thinking about premium. I'm thinking about building piles of money that we can use to take advantage of opportunities, and that's how I describe it to them.
It was awesome.
So I know you talk a lot about activity and generating appointments. Maybe if you could really quick hit on your best opening line just for just a random person that you have that you may know or not know.
Like I say, that's what the 40 questions is about. The hottest question in the business right now is, what's the best age to take your Social Security? Do you realize that 93% of the people in our country take Social Security to their detriment rather than their betterment? If we could easily show you a way how to maximize your Social Security benefits, and if we promised you all we were going to do is ask you a series of questions that would allow you to clarify how to do that, couldn't you find us 45 minutes in the next week or two?
Yeah.
Everything that I do is about getting appointments. I run 30 to 50 appointments a week when the world is open, and I'll do it until the day I die. I write between 800 and 1,200 apps a year, and I only work 8 months a year. The other 4 months a year, I'm traveling. For whatever it's worth, I had my best year of my career last year. I did 45 million of production. I did 22 million of annuities. I did 10 million of single premium life insurance. I did 10 million of mutual funds, and I did about 3 million of annual premium life insurance. So
Man.
I had a pretty good year for 8 months.
Yeah, crazy amazing.
And I'm just knocking, please, all of you can do it. Everybody can do it. It just learn the questions, practice, inspire. You do not sell insurance. You inspire people to take action. None of this is about how good you look or how young you are or how old you are, whether you're black or white or Hispanic or Asian, whether you're a woman. And by the way, this is one of the greatest careers of all time for minorities and women. It is a chance for you to build financial independence free of everybody, and you don't need to prove to anybody how smart you are. Your questions will prove how smart you are because you will be asking them things that nobody else has ever asked them. Even their current financial advisors, even their current insurance agents don't ask them what you're going to learn to ask them if you learn to ask these questions.
Awesome. Well, Van, what is it that inspires you at this point to work, right? To keep it going? I'm guessing it's not the money anymore, right? So what is it that keeps you going and so focused and producing at that level and, and sharing with such passion for you to get on a call like this for us? That we're so grateful for that, but,
Well, thank you for that, but it's actually very easy. None of this is work. I adore what I do. I love it. And actually, all the people in the world that I see who let go of all the things they love and what they do on a regular basis, they kind of wither up. I'm actually getting more powerful. I'm getting more energy. I'm getting stronger as I'm getting older. And again, I had 16 just horrible years as an insurance agent. I'm not kidding you. I try to make a joke that I was really bad, so bad that I was the reason I believe that the industry now has compliance. I mean, that's bad. And I was an ugly person. I hated everybody. I hated my company. I hated all of you. I hated to be around other people. And I asked the audience, I say, who did I really hate? I hated me because I didn't matter to anybody. I wasn't doing anything that mattered. Honest, for the first 16 years I was in the business, I made 30 to 50,000 bucks a year for 16 years. I made just enough to pay my bills, and that was it. I didn't care about anything or anybody, and I lucked out. When I didn't deserve to be saved, and I'll never understand why to this day, I got saved. There's a couple of really important phrases that he's asking. I live by, there is no teaching, there is only learning. If you guys aren't ready to learn anything, I can't teach you. You have to make a decision that you're ready to learn. And if you are, we can show you so many things. Second, when the student is ready, the teacher will appear. And for 16 years, I wasn't ready. And all of a sudden, when I got fired, I got on the phone one day and I called a man in Highland Park, Illinois. I live in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. And I explained to him that I'd been fired. And even though I didn't deserve to be saved, I got saved. And he became like a father to me. And when he passed away about 7 years ago, 8 years ago, sitting on the end of his hospital bed, I'm crying my eyes out. I said, Jimmy, how do I ever repay you? And I won't tell you the first one, but I'll tell you the second one. He said, pass it on. And I'm going to tell you something. For the first 30 days after he passed, I was furious. I didn't want to pass it on. And what I didn't understand is that Jimmy was still teaching me even after he was gone, because the hardest people to sell in the world are other insurance agents. So in order to practice and be good at what I do, in order to inspire you to do what you do, I have to be the best I can because you're the toughest audience there is. And so what's happened is I've just grown to love this every day. I never run out of energy. I'm having the time of my life. I've gotten to speak in 31 countries, all 50 states, on all the main platforms of companies and insurance companies and places, and gotten a chance to see the world. And in spite of all of that, I still owe, because you have no idea how awful I was for the first 16 years. And I don't know why I was selected to get the chance to do this, but I got a chance. And so all I'm saying to all of you, I don't want to whine about this. That's getting whiny now. But here's the thing. All of you can do this. It's not about how good looking you are, how young you are, black, white, old, woman, man, doesn't matter. It's about, are you willing to take the time to learn the skills and practice them so that you sound conversational? Well, if you're willing to do that, I'm telling you that you will see a magnificent change in your career, not in 6 months, not in a year, in 7 to 30 days, your world will be transformed. And if you think you were ever making money before, you don't even know how to spell how much money you're going to make going forward. And while you're doing it, you'll help people. And don't you see, that's momentum. It builds momentum, and it builds on top of it, builds on top of it. And pretty soon you start telling everybody wherever you are, but you don't tell them, you ask them, boy, what if there was a way? Gosh, wouldn't it be amazing? You never had to lose any money. Gosh, wouldn't it be amazing if you knew how to maximize your Social Security? Gosh, wouldn't it be amazing if you knew how to collect on your life insurance before you died? Wouldn't it be spectacular?
Yeah, that's so awesome. So I have one follow-up question, and then I'll kick it back to Eric. Is a little different angle. So when you're working with a brand new agent, you're somebody who's relatively new to the industry, first 6 months or first year, learning products, right? Obviously, you're pretty well versed in product. So what would you suggest as a methodology for someone to acquire that knowledge? Like how many, how fast, or?
I hope you don't get mad at me. I have an answer. You're going to hate it.
Well, I want
Ready?
your opinion.
I don't teach them any product.
Yeah.
Because
So
what ends up happening is, you know what agents say to me all the time? I'm not going to sell this life insurance until I learn all the stuff there is about
yeah,
it.
which is
And
impossible.
then what I say to them back is I say, you know, by the time you learn everything there is to know about it, they're going to change it. Or by the time you learn everything there is to learn, you're going to be out of the business. And then lots of agents try to say to me all the time, they say, Van, I really want to teach people about insurance. And I stop them immediately. I won't even let them go any further. And I say, so let me ask you something. You've decided that you would like to be paid like a teacher for the rest of your life. See, teachers don't get paid a lot of money. We get paid a lot of money because we inspire people to take action. We don't teach anybody anything. And so what I work very hard at is, the hardest thing in our industry is getting enough appointments. And so the very first thing I teach are these 40 questions. And I ask the agent, the brand new agent, to pick 8 or 10 of those questions and learn them to my satisfaction. I practice with them on the phone so that they're conversational, so they don't stammer or stutter or anything, that they can respond in a conversational way to anything they're asked. And then to learn how to ask, if it's okay, could you find me 45 minutes in the next week or two? And then what I tell them is that the next thing that we'll teach you to do is how to fill out a fact finder. And then when you fill out the fact finder, what you'll do is you'll bring your appointment book into the home with you, or into the school, or into wherever you are. And then you'll say to them, boy, this is amazing information. And please, because I want to be respectful of your privacy, I'm going to make sure that we white out all this information that has to do with your name or anything. But then we have all these experts back at the office. And what we're going to do is we're going to ask them for a couple of great strategies that we think would be really beneficial. And listen, it's Tuesday. I have my appointment book. How about if we make an appointment for Thursday at, how about 4:30, right when you get done with school, or right when you get done with work, and we'll get together. See, I don't make them call them back. I make them make the appointment while they're hot. Here's the other mistake agents make. When they then go back to the appointment, they then lay out the presentation. That's a mistake. You have to go back and start a conversation again, because the reason they allowed you to do that was because they had made an emotional commitment to what you were talking about. So while you're gone, you say something. When you come back, you say, boy, aren't you glad you started this process? Did you see what they said about Social Security, that it's even going to be in worse shape going down the road, that the government is thinking about going after more and more pensions, and all of these state, one of the things that Dan was talking about and I was going to cover it and I didn't get to it. I'm going to write about it in the June newsletter. Do you understand that every state, city, county, township, municipality, all of the schools, do you know that Chicago public schools, they believe there's only 6 more years of money for their pensions? 6, that's it. CalPERS is so a mess, it's beyond understanding. CalSTRS is such a mess, it's beyond understanding. And here's the punchline, ready? Those pensions are only required to show their information once a year. So we're not going to know how bad off all of them are until at the end of this year, early part of next year. And then we're going to find out how bad all of them are. Are you going to wait around till then when they close all your opportunities, or are you going to put yourself in a position so you can take advantage? So again, as a new agent, I would work very hard to teach you how to get the appointment first, then second, how to complete a fact finder, then third, how to then, when you're done filling out the fact finder, make a future appointment. Then when you come back, how to ask 3 or 4 questions so you can get the customer or the prospect emotionally where they were when you left them. And then finally, you would make the presentation that Dan or Eric or somebody helped you figure out what would be a good recommendation to this prospect. Now, I'm telling all you new agents, it'll only take you about 10 or 15 of those. And after that, you won't need those guys anymore. You'll understand the process and how to do it. And it doesn't take long, but you must. All great insurance agents have a process. I never deviate. I do it the exact way every single time. And I cover all the bases. See, you guys are going to stumble because you're going to say to people, well, let me ask you something. Think taxes are going to be higher in the future? And they're going to say, yes. Do you think they could be way higher? Yeah, I think they're going to. Well, let me ask you a dumb question. Do you want to pay those taxes? See, we never ask them that. They're going to say no. And then the agent's going to stop right there and he's going to make a presentation, she's going to make a presentation. And without going further, and they're probably going to walk past a bigger sale, because the next question is, do you think benefits will be lower? Do you think the government's going to have to print more money? Do you think that people are going to live longer than we've ever believed they would live? And on and on and on. And then you're going to find out that you could have built yourself a much bigger case had you covered all the bases. That's a long answer, but
no, but it's good. It's stuff we say, you know. At Eric and I's last convention, our Elevate conference, we went through and we did a thing of 65% blocking and tackling, 35% mindset. Terry went all the way through and said, what did you learn? What did you learn? What did you learn? Right? And so at the end, man, and you can, you know, share the story and use it because you're going to get a kick out of it. It's exactly what you just said. Every single one of the things, there was like 99 things or something crazy on the board. Every single one of them was a mindset thing that they learned, and not one person said anything about the topic, right? It was all about how they thought about it, how they prepared themselves, what they were going to change in preparation, and it's just perfect. I get it. I love the answer.
thank you.
Love the client. The rest works out.
Hey, man, we got one last question here, and it's just about the newsletters. So if they, is there any certain code to get the October?
No, because we know it's you, they won't have to do anything special. They will automatically get November, December, January, and February just by signing up for May.
Okay.
The only thing is they have to do it today or tomorrow. That's how we'll know, because it'll be within 24 hours of me doing this with you. So somebody, to be honest, somebody else who might come and sign up for the newsletter not being on this might luck out and get that benefit as well. But it's mostly designed so that all of you get the bonus.
Yeah. Thank you.
Good stuff, man. Well, I appreciate it again. I can't thank you enough, and definitely looking forward to getting back to somewhat of normal and seeing you again in person.
And I hope you guys, when you get public again, that you'll invite me to do like a half-day seminar or something at one of your meetings. We could really, if we could show these guys, they could kill. There's so many ideas that I just didn't even talk about. It's ridiculous.
Well, good stuff, guys. And you know where to find most of his material on his website, like he had mentioned. And that's vanmiller.com, spelled Mueller. So
See, Eric, I have friends who introduce me. They've known me for 30 years, and because they're reading it, they
Yeah.
go, and my closest friend of 30 years, Van Mueller.
well, I do it all the time. So I
Because everybody looks at it, and it's actually the Dutch pronunciation, which is Miller.
I purposely wrote your name today, Miller, so I would say it properly. So, anyway, man, I appreciate you, dude, and thank you everyone for being on and spending some time with us.
Stay well, everybody.
All right. Be blessed.